Okay, part two. So, all students at Stevens are going to do a novel study on a book that I used to read every year with my eighth graders, and then I stopped, and I'm not really sure why. I really like this book. It's a great book. It's filled with a lot of great characters, a great story. There's something for everyone. There's a character that everyone can like or really dislike in this book. So it's Tangerine by Edward Bloor. I know this is backwards to you. Um, Bad cover, great book. So I have it all blocked out. We are basically going to do this novel study together over the course of the rest of the school year. So you're going to read about 50 pages a day. 50 pages a week. And there's a couple options. So you'll see attached to this assignment, there is a PDF with the actual book. And you can just read it right there. It's free, it's easy to read, straightforward. I do want you to stop reading at various points. I don't want you to go on. I think that when teachers assign reading, it's fine, but it shouldn't take the place of free reading time. So I think reading 10 pages a day on your school days is very reasonable, and I want to keep encouraging you to read outside of school. And I know some of you aren't, and it will show. It will show in a way that will be very difficult next year. So you want to make sure you keep reading, and you want to make sure you keep reading good books, good books that you want to read. And if you run out of books to read and you want more, there's options. You can go, the public library has Washington Anytime Library. So if you have a library card, you can get those books. And then I also put a link on here. So this book is on Audible. Audible is free right now, and you get two free books, and you get to read them. So that's another option for you. You can also go to or call Port Book and News or go to their website or Odyssey. And it's a very inexpensive book. I have a hardback book, but these I got because they last a good long time. But I only have this one, and the other ones I lent to the teachers. And then if you really need a copy of the book and you don't want to read it online, you don't want to listen to it, call the office. And I gave like 30 copies up to the office, so there might be some. So you have a few options. The other thing I'm going to do is every day I'm going to make a short video, and I'm going to read 10 pages and talk to you. So if you're a person that's like, I don't really like to read by myself, I'd rather read it with you, Mrs. Sanders, and you explain parts of it, and then I know I'll listen and pay attention, then that'll be an option for you as well. I am going to do that also because I want to see how long 10 pages take for you to read a day, and make sure it feels like not too much, because I think the last thing I want you to do is be in front of a computer screen for hours and hours on end, like I am. So you'll see it's in the Google Classroom. There's a schedule, so I want you to pay attention to the schedule. So we're going to read the book for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. It's a little long to read a book, so if you want to move ahead, you can, because here's the schedule. And then the last 3 weeks of school, basically from May 26th to June 15th, it's time to work on the project. So you'll have plenty of time to make a quality project and not break the bank, because we're also going to keep doing the poetry. So I want to be very mindful of your time. Now everybody's going to do a test, and so I'm giving you the question for the test, and it's backwards to you, but it's in the Google Classroom. And basically, as you read this book that I dropped with my elbow, main character's name's Paul Fisher. I want you to keep track of how he changes over the course of the book, because something kind of cool happens for him in a really horrific way. So then you're going to keep track of his changes and stuff. And as we read, I made a Google Doc for you to note where he's changing, so that when you answer this essay question, because I want as many examples from the text. And I love examples that go in order of the book, because then I'm not like, oh. So there's your test question. Everybody will do that, okay? test question. It's kind of like an essay where you answer and you explain the different ways that he changes, and you can even talk about each of the changes. Could be its own paragraph, and you could talk about that. And there's some changes that can be put together, and there's some changes that can be put in different paragraphs. So the paragraphing isn't going to be like a super organized explanatory essay. It's just going to be a piece of writing that makes sense. It flows. It has good sentences. It has lots of examples from the text. It's not a race answer. You're going to have evidence, and you're going to tell me what page you found the evidence on. But it's not a race answer. Let's move it beyond. And this is mostly for 8th graders, because when you go to the high school next year, you're going to have to evaluate stuff, and you're going to have to do it in a very creative way. So this is how we're going to do it. And if you're a person that's really lost on it, as I'm reading my 10 pages a day, I'll be talking about this and what my Google form looks like, Google Doc looks like. So then we get to the actual project part, and there's a choice. And some of you are going to say, I want to do 2 things. Oh, okay, knock yourself out. You can do 2 things, but you have to do at least one of these projects. So the first one, I'm just going to go in no particular order, is a movie poster project. So you'll see something on your Google Doc, and it basically says you've been hired to create a movie poster, but it also asks for a book review. And then there's some directions there. And then you can see the second part is the scoring guide. So that's the first idea. So if you're a person that's like, ooh, that sounds good, and you have paper to do that on, some of you want to do it digitally because you're really good at Adobe, or if you're good at Adobe, I need to pay you to teach me how to use Adobe better. You can make it anyway. It could be like hand-drawn. It could be computer-generated. Mapping it all out is the next choice. And what you do is you create a poster and you map out the town. So there's 2 places by and large this takes place. And so you would map out where everything is and label the locations. And then you have to identify the 5 most important events and then write a paragraph for each of those. It's all on here as well. And then there's a scoring guide. So if you like that idea of mapping out the setting and then putting all the bits and pieces on it. The next one will appeal to some of you. It's called the novel news, and you're a newspaper reporter, and you're writing a newspaper about the book. So some of you, this might be interesting to you. This would be a cool thing to use digitally. Some of you though are like, oh, I'd love to draw stuff like that. Okay, go for it. Go for it. If that sounds interesting to you, then that's for you. It's pretty straightforward there. This next one I think is going to appeal to most of you. So it's the Novel Recording Studios, and you have to create a playlist of 10 songs that best represent the novel, Tangerine. And so you need to think about as many songs. So as you read, you're thinking about, oh, this song would be perfect. And so then you're just going to pick the 10 best songs. And if I were doing this, if I were you, I would read my 50 pages and I would think about, okay, what song fits here, or songs fit here. And I would keep track of it that way. I wouldn't read the whole book and then go back and try to fill it in, because that would make it a little bit overwhelming. So think about themes or the mood or the characters or the setting, whatever it is. And then it tells you the rest of what you need to do for that. And some of you are going to be like, well, what if my song has cuss words in it? Well, use your best judgment. If your parents don't mind you listening to it, I won't mind it either. If your parents would be upset they gave me a song that has cuss words in it, then don't use it. Use your best judgment, and let your family kind of guide you through that. But it won't freak me out too much. There's a couple songs that my high schooler listens to that I hate. But I'm pretty sure none of you would pick it because it doesn't match Tangerine at all. Anywho, they're really bad. Like, how creative can you be with that word? Anyway, the next one is my novel, the sequel. Dun, dun, dun. This will appeal to some of you. So what happens when the book is done? So you kind of write that last chapter, that sequel of what would happen in the story. And you get to be super creative. So using the same characters, scoring guide there for you. The next one is the ticking timeline, and it's the 10 most important events in the novel. So this one you'll definitely have to keep track as you go along. And it's kind of one-pager-ish. You have illustrations, the title, and then you have everything ranked, things like that. So here's all your directions there. Sounds kind of interesting if you like doing something like that. And some of you are super creative. Painters, sculptors, drawers. So as you read your 50 pages, you're going to come up, maybe with every 50 pages, you come up with a watercolor, a drawing, some sort of created thing. Maybe you do sculpture, maybe you do some sort of artwork. I really, sky's the limit. Maybe it's a collage. Maybe it's like for every 50 pages, maybe you have a bunch of magazines around and you pick up words that were used and themes and images and you make a collage for each 50 pages. But there's a scoring guide. You could go anywhere with that one. This one, super creative, super creative. And the last one is a book trailer. Some of you like to make book trailer. Book trailer can be made on Animoto. So animoto.com, you can have a free account. You're a student, so you just use your login as Google. And you basically have a 2 to 5 minute book trailer. And you explain these things. You have a thought-provoking question. This drove you kind of nuts on the dodecahedron project, you 8th graders, last year. But it's just something that grabs my attention of what would you do to make something right? Or if something horrific was done to you, how would you get over it? Or something like that. It'll make sense for you later. And then a short summary. So you have the 10 most critical events that take place. You introduce the main characters, not every character, because nobody wants that. And then you analyze how Paul Fisher changes, so it helps you with that essay question. And then one or more conflicts. This book is so cool because it has a bunch of conflicts in the story, which makes it complicated and rich. It also has several themes in the story about bullying, about the environment, about cutting corners and cheating. So lots of ways you could go with that. So book trailer. So lots of things to choose from. So you have to choose one of those projects. And everybody's going to do the essay question on how Paul Fisher changes. And we're all going to read. Oh, I hope you're well. I miss you. Also, Mr. Soul is having some office hours. I'm going to have office hours with him. So if you have questions about any of this or you need materials, it's a great time to ask me as well. And you don't have to stay the whole time we have office hours. You can just pop in, pop out. So I miss you. I hope I say that enough. I want to make the best of the situation. Anyway, holler if you need anything, and I'll see you later.